Hello folks, this is Sully here with a preview video for playoff game number 2 of Civ4 AI Survivor season number 8. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at the map in this one. This is the second of 3 playoff games. The top 2 leaders in this game will advance on to our championship round. Other leaders will be finished for the season. This map's a little bit different. I'm not quite sure how to describe this. It's almost like a fish hook in a way. It's kind of interesting, but I did think that the map was balanced enough to be usable for our purposes. It's a little bit different than some of our blobby Pangea maps. Now, as with our other playoff games, we have a series of leaders who finished in first place in the opening round games, and then a couple of leaders that finished in second place. We'll start with the leaders that finished in first place, starting out with the winner of game number 2, Justinian of Byzantium. Justinian, one of the most successful leaders historically in AI Survivor. Many of you watching this probably know that he won our first ever season of Civ4 AI Survivor, and is a Pool 1 leader. It's been very effective. There's a whole bunch of leaders that do the military plus religion thing, and he seems to do it better than anyone else in this game. So he is one of the leaders that starts with mysticism. He has good odds to found a religion, although in this game there's actually 2 other leaders that start with mysticism, Gandhi and Brennus. But most likely he will get a religion start, and then he will like anyone who shares his religion and dislike anyone who doesn't like his religion. He also has the advantage of having some useful uniques here. He has the Byzantine unique unit, the Cataphract, which is one of the best unique units in the game. Unfortunately, he also has Byzantium starting techs, which are Mysticism Wheel. Those are some of the worst starting techs in the game, which is a little bit unfortunate in that regard. But spiritual imperialistic, really good traits for AI Survivor. Justinian is always going to be a threat to win any game that he's in. We'll see what people make of this one. I suspect some people are going to like the fact that he has a little bit of a sheltered backlines area to expand into. Okay, next up, the winner of game number 5, a surprising Ramses. Ramses had a really good season last season in season 7, and then he won his opening round game again here in season 8. Now, we did run the alternate histories of that game already, because that was a game I was really interested in. We've already run the the 20 map replays. He did not win any of the 20 map replays, so he was perhaps a little bit lucky in his opening round game to get the win. Still, he has a number of good things going for him. Spiritual, industrious, these are pretty good traits. Spiritual is good for AI Survivor, industrious, not so great. He's also tied to the Egyptian Civ, which is an excellent Civ. Starts with agriculture wheel, which are great starting techs. Has a useful unique in the war chariot, etc. So not a bad Civ at all. Ramses is very peaceful. He likes to build wonders. He's very low on the aggression scale. He's been a bit more successful than Hatshepsut, the other Egyptian leader. And like I said, he's been doing better in recent years. I think that perhaps it's because of the fact that we now use the default starting text, which we've only done, I think, since season 4. So he was probably penalized a bit in some of the earlier seasons. So he has drawn the northeastern starting position here on the map. There seems to be a lot of floodplains in the area, and he does have a dry corn at his capital. So that synergizes with his starting tech. All right, continuing onwards, the winner of game number 8, Augustus Caesar. He was actually in an almost identical spot on the map in game number 8. He was in the southeast corner in that game, and he's in the southeast corner of this game as well. Was not one of the popular picks to win that game, but did manage to kind of exceed expectations, him and Lincoln, in that opening round game. Augustus has a similar personality to Ramses. They both like to build wonders. Neither one of them is very aggressive. They have traits that are somewhat similar too. They're both industrious, but Ramses has spiritual, while Augustus Caesar has the imperialistic trait. Not a lot of synergy between industrious and imperialistic. The traits kind of pull in opposite directions. What he does have going for him, though, is as a Roman leader, he gets the Praetorian, which is one of Civ4's best unique units. A swordsman with 8 strength instead of 6 is pretty darn good. And his starting techs do match up reasonably well with this start. He's got the gems that he'll be able to connect right away because Rome starts with mining. Rome's other starting tech is fishing. So the fishing is kind of a whiff on this start. But being able to connect gems right away is nice. If he opens with agriculture, this could be a pretty solid start. And like I said, he's got this southeast position. It's a little bit jungly. It'll be interesting to see who gets this floodplains valley up here, whether it's Ramses or Augustus. I suspect that will determine a lot about how well they do in this game. All right, now we're moving on to leaders that finished in second place in the opening round, starting with Frederick up here, who we have flipped to a neon blue color because if we kept him with his default gray, he would look too much like Justinian. All right, Frederick is one of the German leaders in Civ4. He has not historically been a very well-performing leader in AI Survivor. Traits are philosophical, organized. Basically, he has a similar personality to peaceful leaders like Gandhi and Mansa Musa. He just wants to play the game peacefully. He kind of wants to sit back and tech in peace. Problem is his traits are not great for that. Philosophical and organized are not very good traits for organized AI Survivor. They're good in single player Civ4, but the AI doesn't use either of them very well. He's also tied to the German Civ, which is one of the worst Civs in Civ4. All the stuff comes uselessly late, and the starting techs are not amazing either. That said, he does start with mining tech, and he has a double gold tile start, plus floodplains, plus a wet corn. So this is quite a nice starting position. And when I rolled this map, I actually thought that this map was balanced a little bit by the fact that this is like a god tier starting position. But look, it's also probably the single most cramped start on the map. Maybe this start down here that Gandhi has, but this is probably the most cramped start. So how you feel about this start has a lot to do with, does the amazing capital offset the fact that there's not as much land available here? I don't know quite how that plays out, but it's enough that it should make things a little bit more interesting in the picking contest. All right, next up, we have the second place leader from game 6. That was Gandhi. And Gandhi getting second place is pretty unusual because Gandhi is normally either he wins the game or he's the first one eliminated, and there's rarely a lot in between. Now, Gandhi is one of the most distinctive personalities in Civ4. He is super pacifist, does not like to start wars, has an incredibly low aggression rating. His goal is almost always to found a whole bunch of religions and then just amass as much culture as possible in the hopes of cashing out with an early cultural win. So because he neglects defense to such an insane extent, he often dies in these games. But if he doesn't die, he also has good odds to win by culture. Like I said, he usually is either first or last in these games. Now, in this game, he's been good enough to draw a bunch of mostly high peace weight leaders. Gandhi has the highest peace weight rating in the game at 10. This means that he is predisposed to like other leaders that have high peace weights, and he's drawn potential allies here in Augustus Caesar and Ramses and Frederick, all of who have high peace weights. So this could be a good setup for Gandhi in that regard. I think his capital is a little bit weaker than some of the other capitals, though. I mean, he has early ivory, he has a wet corn. It's certainly not bad. But it's not as good as this one. It's not as good as Frederick's capital, let's be clear. So we'll see. Gandhi is always a threat to win by culture just because he is so single-mindedly determined to beeline culture. But he's also not that far away from Brennus and Justinian, who are a bit lower on the peace weight scale. So there's a decent chance he'll take their aggression and might be a bit of a meat shield for leaders like Ramses and Augustus. All right, finally, last but not least, this is typically the second place leader from the wildcard game, but we actually had to run 2 wildcard games this year. So this is actually the winner of wildcard game number 2, Brennus, who played a very surprising and very dominant victory in wildcard game number 2. He kind of founded a religion that got spread around the entire map, and he kind of got really far out in front economically. He had a really nicely timed war declaration against Surya Varman. But anyway, that was in the past. Now in this game, Brennus is, again, traditionally not seen as one of the better leaders in AI Survivor. His traits are pretty mediocre, spiritual, charismatic. Celtic Civ, not particularly impressive either. Does start with mysticism tech, so he may be one of the ones to found a religion. Basically, Justinian, Gandhi, Brennus, 2 of the 3 of them are going to get early religions, but it's hard to say which one that's going to be. He does not start with fishing tech, so he can't work this fishing tile out of the gate. This capital does have a decent amount of production. It's a little trickier, though. It's one of these starts that's a little harder to get rolling because you need fishing and animal husbandry to kind of do anything here. And the Celtic Civ starts with hunting and mysticism, so there's not a lot of synergy here. I guess he could open fishing into animal husbandry. There's a lot of potential to mess up this start, I will say that. So I think Brennus is probably not going to be one of the favorites, but he wasn't one of the favorites in the wildcard game, and he ended up winning that one, so you just never know. All right, we'll zoom out here again to give a little bit more of the overview. So if you're watching this video, you probably know already, but we do run a picking contest for these games. There's always a contest for every game, as well as the season-wide contest. That will be linked underneath the video if you want to try to predict who's going to be the winner, who's going to finish in last place, etc., etc. This game will also be live streamed a week from when this video gets posted on YouTube. That will be on Friday, September the 6th. September the 6th of 2024 at our usual noon Eastern starting time. And the live stream is also linked under the video if you don't know where that is. So hopefully we will see a number of you pop up for Civ4 AI Survivor Season number 8 playoff game number 2. Until then, have a great week, everybody. Take care, and I'll see you soon.